Oh, really? Awesome. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Love working with her. Good projects. Or just everybody just if you guys want back on that side for beginners, and then we usually have those things over there for.
The set starts over here.
Yeah. We'll introduce you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If you can't demolish it, then you have to.
Yeah, I think that's what she just.
No, so. Say, can't say that nice the best use. So obviously. Because it might. Yes. Gives you that.
There's a usually create a cheat sheet.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on. Wonderful things.
Read it this time, but next.
I kind of took that,
I see.
it's kind of condensed. I assume everybody's heard it. I was just wanting to kind of hit the high points, maybe. Zach talk about like.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. That works. Thanks.
So.
That's a good way to do it. Is just go.
I just don't forget stuff.
Yeah,
I don't show.
I like that.
Okay, but that's, you see where I'm, like, and it's not. It's.
I think that's.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Thanks for, we're ready.
Right. Good morning, everybody. This is a session of this urban design peer review panel, page 128, 2024. Before we get started, we need to approve minutes from our last meeting, May 24th. You all must have received it via email from Arturo. And do I have a motion for
Approval as submitted.
second? I have a second. Very good, thank you. All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Arturo minutes have been approved.
Great. And today, Faisal, I don't know if you met Sarah Fitzgerald. She's sitting in today, but next month she'll be sitting with you guys as a panel member replacing Michael Wilkins. Sarah is a landscape architect working probably right down the street from you at SWA. I think everybody else, Norm, I don't think you've met Sarah yet, but I wanted to make that introduction before our meeting. And also, Gray's gonna sort of run this meeting today. It'll be his first one. So be kind to him. And
Why would we treat him different than anybody else?
that's true. Thank you, Norm. And with that, Gray will introduce the project that you'll be reviewing today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arturo.
We want to welcome Sarah and welcome Gray. First time during the meeting.
All right, so this project, the one project we have for today is the West End Lofts. It's a proposed mixed-use development located on Elm Street, adjacent to the West End DART rail station. It's in the West End Historic District and the City Center TIF District. It includes a historic building and garage and a new apartment building totaling approximately 288,000 square feet. Ground floor retail and a half-acre pedestrian plaza round out the development's main program. Design recommendations should focus on the adaptive reuse of the former Antioch Church building, along with the sensitive integration of a new residential building. And lastly, the placement of active retail, residential, and common space uses together with careful attention to the design and incorporation of sustainable features in the new plaza will be critical to enhancing the safety and vitality of the public realm in dark station areas. We have the design and development team here that's going to go through all the work.
Hi, all. My name is Zachary Krawczyk. I'm the developer with Matthew Finn, Sycamore Strategies. We're a low-income housing developer in Dallas, and we unfortunately have a new specialty of historic preservation. We are doing the Cabana Hotel right now, working on this as well as the Granite Building. So we kind of dove right into historic preservation. Cabana's about ready to get underway, and this will be kind of the next large project we're looking at downtown the West End. We're really excited about this project. It's kind of a mixed use component, but it also is mixed income at 40% affordable and 60% market rate, all in kind of Class A amenities, Class A kind of construction. And we're just looking forward to being part of the West End Historic District. I'm gonna bring on Bennett Partners, they're our design team, and let them kind of answer any questions.
Morning. Joseph Bennett Partner, Stanley Small. Super excited to be working with Zach and Sycamore Strategies and building affordable housing development here in the West End. So I'll just run through kind of the overview and then Taylor that into some of the design details. But this one again, affordable housing development in the West End, really kind of got all the bells and whistles, multi-block redevelopment, adaptive reuse of 2 historic buildings, addition of 1 new building, proposed abandonment of Boston Street. We'll go into that a little later with the acquisition of the entire block. So we have 154 multifamily units within both buildings. It's the existing Emerson Brandon building, meaning out of church, another new addition, which is a brand new building to complete the rest of the block. And then the development will be served by the historic parking garage. So we're going to keep the 7-Eleven Elm parking garage in its original intended use to serve the parking needs for the development. Transit-oriented, historic adaptive reuse. We have a pedestrian bridge that we're proposing just for secure 24 access from one building to the other for the tenants only, not open for public use. But Weston zoning and a lot of the design getting ahead there.
Yeah, so we started this project, Adam saying, with the 2 historic buildings, 805 and 7-Eleven Elm. 7-Eleven was built in 1925 as parking garage, and 805 in 1904 as a warehouse factory. The rest of the site is as you know, surface lots, so we're completing the block on Lamar and Elm Streets. This was back to the Sanborn maps, this was a historic divided into 4 buildings, 4 building block. So we kind of sectioned out the building alluding to 4 separate buildings. We're keeping the materiality the same as the West End with the red tone brick, black steel, and some cast stone elements as well. Like Adam said, we've got 154 units over both buildings, all ground floor retail facing Lamar, Elm, and Pacific, along with retail facing the new plaza, 7-Eleven and 805. That's kind of where we're at here.
Yeah, one thing to add is the historic adaptive reuse component of our historic tax credits. So we'll be going to follow National Park Service, and that's still tuition requirements as well.
Yeah, the only other thing to note is so 7-Eleven is 53 feet, 805 is 82, so our new building is only 80 tall. So we're not going above 805 Weston zoning with 100 feet height limit, so we're well under that as well.
As far as the reality with the Weston zone, we've got the red brick, complement the adjacent building that's required. The metal, which is really the second material, which is also similar to the black iron and other metal that's required for the zone district as well.
Great. Anything else that like?
Yeah, I think with that, any questions?
Well, wait a second, you have something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think another kind of really important element is right now, the existing condition is that street, that Austin Street that's going through, where's our kind of existing? So we are, you know, obviously recommending that street abandonment, and, right now, the only use for that street is to service this surface lot that we have under contract. And basically, all the dark police just park there and use it as like a de facto station. So I think that, you know, in terms of kind of goals of, you know, urbanism, it's taking that out, taking a lot of car dependency out, taking a lot of surface lot out, and I think that's a really important part of this.
What do you want the board so everybody can say, thank you, yeah, we can hit it with your also, even against the, yeah, okay, so. No, question.
Yeah, we just have that Austin Street to the south is already abandoned, so that's one segment that's left.
Okay, then nothing to the north.
In-house, correct.
Either. So just wanted to add that element.
That's important. Well, if you have nothing else to add, to share with us, the way we like to do this is with two parts. First, we ask you questions to clarifying questions, if there's anything that perhaps was not clear, and then we offer you feedback. I should have said at the beginning, when we started, this is a panel made up of volunteers, appointed by the city manager, and the group. It's made up of people from different expertise, historic architectural expert, academic architect, landscape architect, planner, architect, engineers, whole range of expertise on the panel. Our goal is to make Dallas a better place, better city, building by building, one building at a time, one project at a time. The patient, we take the long view here. So we are happy to review your proposal and offer you feedback. Great. All right. So with that, question from the panel.
Yeah, I spent very late last night, so we realized we put that things in. Question I have is, what's the existing height of the building on this 805?
It's 82.
One is, do you happen to know how the fire protection was being handled for these two blocks?
We have not dug into that too far yet. 805 currently doesn't have elevator stairs going to level 5. It only has the stair going from.
That's actually why I'm asking is fire protection. The reason I'm saying that is if we put it out and talk to the fire department early, is if you want to abandon that stringer, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, understand. And we have had a pre-development meeting, so we did get some information from Rick Butler about that whole assessment. He said, once you guys are ready, you want to move forward doing that, we're happy to continue that conversation.
Okay. And you said Austin is already abandoned south of the block.
Yeah, there's actually a building.
Building, you guys see that on that. And then the public sidewalks, staying the same way.
It's the same way, yeah, we're building the property line, which is typical of the district, so, and then the sidewalks, will mostly end up existing and then redone the campus.
Okay, I don't know. It's great.
Can you go over the street section a little bit? And walk us through your plans around the.
Yeah, so our new building, this is also true, honestly, our new building, so we're stepping the ground floor back to give that larger, the 12-foot sidewalk, but then an additional 10 feet before the storefront retail. So that's what we're showing the bus lane going down now, the 3 vehicular lanes and then the parallel parking lane adjacent to El Centro.
really makes sense, that's the,
Yeah.
streets.
Yeah, negotiate on that. That is just showing the relation of the building on the south to the north.
Yeah, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the public space in the plaza location as well.
We're in very early development on it, it's fully developed, we're going to work obviously with the architecture, to get all of that programmed well, but more of a public amenity for the city and connecting El Centro to the fire station as well as on the street to the fire station.
I think one important point is this garage actually has retail space that opens up to the plaza, but it's kind of half buried. So we're looking at how we can have this interior retail space also interact with that plaza to kind of give it a little bit more life. Before, it was just a health clinic that kind of was hidden away, so we're looking at creative ways to kind of use that space and have that space bleed in and become kind of multi-use public space so that it has, some more activity. Right now, it's a parking lot, and kind of the public space, the road is very low used, so there's just a lot of, vagrancy, and, obviously with affordable housing, we hope that we help fix that problem as well, but the corner of 7-Eleven Elm right now is a boarded up 7-Eleven. They decided to, discontinue use and they're still paying rent on it, so in terms of the retail on the ground floor of 7-Eleven, it needs help, and we think that that plaza is gonna help it a lot as well, so, it's kind of an exercise in trying to figure out usability of that kind of buried space and how we can make it interact with that plaza.
I think that also just the retail component proposed for the new development.
Right.
So the whole new development is retail surrounding the perimeter, so that'll have retail in the face of that public space as well.
So as we identify more end users, I think that that's gonna help the plaza kind of take shape. Right now, there's actually licensing agreements, down the side of the building for like street cafe usage and things like that, so we'll probably keep some of that going as well.
All right. No, thanks to these questions. I want to follow up on Jess's question. You don't control that parcel right now, do you? Yeah. Okay.
Couple other questions I may ask. I
Yes.
wasn't sure, so I see the number of units listed in the 805 and in the new one. In the 7-Eleven, is it only parking or is it?
Yeah, it was originally, it's Dallas's oldest parking garage and one of the first in the country, just as far as a freestanding parking garage. But yeah, we're taking it back to the same use, it's about 140 spaces. So that is the parking for the
Whole thing.
And that connection that is shown, which like is, like, where is that happening? Is it at grade, is it a sky bridge type?
Yeah, it'll be on levels 2 and 3, we make sure to get it above the fire truck height, but yes, it's only these 2 levels for connecting. That way we have a secure way for residents to get from the parking structure to their units.
I will make note, we're going through historic with Cabana, and after going through some of the historic with Cabana, we have a pretty strong feeling we're not gonna get that sky bridge through historic, just because it'll probably block the sight line from Elm to the historic building, so we had this design, and now that we're getting some feedback from historic on some other things regarding Cabana, we're not quite confident that that sky bridge will exist, and there's also the possibility of that's probably the first thing to go in value engineering. So
yeah.
just wanted to make note of that.
Yeah, when we had a pre-development, the city was supportive and kind of gave us the path forward there, but historic would be a challenge.
Yeah, but regardless, we do have to do kind of something on that corner of the garage because we need continuous stairs and an elevator. So that's,
So
gotta be somehow be integrated there.
So what's the open space dimension between the garage and the new building? Is it like 80 feet?
Between here and here, yeah, it's like,
More than that?
you know,
Because is a lot line the dark line?
so this was the access agreement for the patios. There's a existing coffee shop on the corner of Pacific and Austin that's utilizing that right now. So the property line is to the building.
Okay, I was just,
Okay, so the river, I'm sorry.
I was wondering, see the dark line in the rendering just above? Is that the right of way or see the second dark line?
This-
Right there, yes.
Yeah, this is the existing right of way.
This is the existing right of way.
Yeah. So we.
Licensing agreement comes out to,
Right there,
yeah,
okay.
this licensing agreement comes out to here, so we can program this space, but the lot is aligned with the face of the building.
Okay. So, okay, done.
And these are separate parcels, all three.
There's also a lot of utility right outside the property line, so, you know, we had obviously thought about the fact of possibly bumping out the new building, things like that, but there's a lot of utility right under there.
There's like a 25-inch main underneath that licensing agreement space, so it's all in here.
Yeah, I was just looking at, okay, that's.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I've got a couple things. Start with the last one first. I have some questions about the Sky Bridge. Let's do that as a discussion during the discussion. I've got some recommendations there. Couple things though, little in the weeds for me here, but recently we've had a major project, been a major renovation restoration project just around the corner from this, where multiple historic buildings were connected up together, and it's a real problem for them not to have everything on the same floor. I see here, however, that you've got it, one existing historic building, and all of the new building that's being connected to it is not at the same floor level. You have every opportunity to make that uninterrupted. Why would you not do that? Gentlemen?
We
What-
did
what-
that for several reasons.
Okay.
To get above the unit count that we needed, as well.
I'm sorry, how does that affect the unit count with the same number of levels? Does it matter?
We had to come up the level and we wanted to stay under the building height of the existing.
Why
building.
would you have to off that level? You've got 5 levels now, why can't you replicate those 5 or 6?
We're sort of saying.
We're six.
Yes.
So the bullet for the existing is very healthy.
Yeah.
And let's also character of the neighborhood, that's one of the reasons I'm asking.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? And have you begun discussions with any of the preservation review authorities, THC or Landmark Commission? Okay. Okay.
Very good. Any other questions, presenters? Nope. All right, so we're opening the comment, feedback, comment and feedback, please. Would you like to keep going?
Well, all right. All right, well, let's go back to the bridge then.
Yes.
Take it to the bridge. Heard that some. I would be surprised if you have the problem you discussed with the bridge. I may give you a couple of strategies for addressing it. One, if you're gonna do something like that, I can't think of a better place, on the interior of the lot. I would suggest you check the Sanborns again and see if there were not existing, if there not had been buildings on those vacant lots that prevented that kind of view historically. I think most people would not expect to have a view through the block to the building on the other side in the downtown environment. So I don't think that interrupts anything.
Well, that's the view down Austin. So that's the existing Austin. That's why the sight line right now is clear because it's the street.
Well,
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
but no, that would be a tertiary, even with Austin inactive, that would be a tertiary elevation there, and I would expect you to be able to justify a much greater range and flexibility there. Also, the fact that from the primary elevation, which is up on Main Elm Street, to the historic building.
Yeah, historic, so like Austin.
Right, so what's the building, is it Elm up there?
Elements.
It's the different.
That, despite the fact that there's a train there, that was the primary elevation of this. Your primary, your first 3 primary elevations are all intact. So, I would not count out your bridge, and I would suggest that approach to showing that you really maintain the historic view of the property from all over. It's a much greater encumbrance to come in off the corner and attach to the building than it is to block it. bridge from over here. So if you can get that connection over, which I think you can, I think the bridge is gonna sail. And I don't mind the bridge idea. If you're gonna do that, that's the way to do it. So I'm pretty good with that. The only other recommendation I would have here is it's really important in particular in any urban historic district, particularly in the West End, that connection between the street and pedestrian experience and that of the building is critical. Historic buildings, historic neighborhoods have a type of engagement there. There's, the level of detail, the way the solid void ratios and things are pretty common everyplace else. I see in your design, what I see at that lower level is a far more office park kind of relationship. I think there is a level of interest and detail that this building would benefit, making it more like the historic building next door and the others around the corner, and less like what people would expect to find in environments outside of the historic district. You can get that sort of experience a lot of places. What you get next door and what you get around the corner are pretty unique. In Dallas, especially to that neighborhood. So I would encourage you take more opportunities to create more interest and lean more towards what you would find in the historic buildings in terms of detailing, proportions, spacings, and all of that in that ground floor level. Otherwise, I will say that I was very pleased actually with the design. I personally would do a few things different, but that's because I'm an architect as well. But the forms, the windows not aligning bugs me a little, but that's not unheard of either. So that's more of a personal thing. But you're right on the brick color. You're right on the way that they attach to the historic building and relate to it. What we call the hyphen characteristic there, we get the gap. That's what you do. That'll work out okay. Your relationship to the street is what it should be, if not quite the detailing maybe at this point. But overall, I thought, okay, well, here we go. Dig into this, and really, you're going to have a big time with this. No, that's pretty. I think that's pretty. I think you're nearly, even with the historic stuff, I would be surprised if you're not going to have a comparatively easy time. That's my time.
So you think that about your storm bridge?
Yeah, that's it.
To start, I would share Norman's pleasure and that project. I think it's really great and seeing how being used. I love that it's got a mix of market rates and all the ground floor retail. Kind of big moves I think are really exciting. So I'm jumping into the things that come as the next step down. Downtown Dallas is hot and is going to get hotter. And so I'm always looking at the different projects that come through to look at ways to reduce the heat gain. And I mean, a big one here is all that paving in the plaza. So as we move into the design development of the plaza, I think it would be really interesting to look at some green landscape solutions that could be, of course, not more trees, but some more trees. Just where they can all that underground stuff. There could be areas of public paving where you don't need access for the fire engines. There could be collection of rainwater so that you don't have to keep watering all that long. There could actually be super thin, lightweight green roof on top of all these exposed batteries. Slates and water and the down. So I would really encourage you to do so well and all the other aspects, really make a kind of landscape solution to that. Space. I also think it would help the plaza be more useful because I think big development like that but also looking downtown LA. That's pretty far short of the, more trees and more soft surfaces. I think there'll be more people in those and so on.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I have some of the things upstairs, we just, talked about it. I really think that you guys are doing a good project and that the city's gonna, I mean, this is a great improvement for that area, obviously. But I do think shading is gonna be important for people to be able to use that. I don't think I have anything else related to the urban components. You might wanna look at some studies of the field to make sure that you are actually getting something where it's located, but.
Twice.
Yes, just a couple of comments slash feedback. One question I would like to ask, on that existing garage, is the access only on the south side off of L?
The vehicular entry, that's correct.
And it's wonderful.
This one.
Typically, this is the someone that I'm not very favor, I'm not historic, so. I see a lot of public space, which is good, I just feel like it's just a lot of pavement. And I do, so. I think maybe they, I don't know what the right answer is, but it's not kind of easily like, oh my God, it's not like that. As this might become the entrance to this space, so I would just say, just take a look at that. As you look at that, and you think about, like I said, please confirm. And so it's a good thing that our access is only on this side and not on the other. But I have a feeling you may have a feel that you may find out that you need to maintain a certain portion, maybe 100 feet or so, for fire truck use, right? So it could be a green pave or whatever. So you may want to figure out the placement of the trees in that central space to make sure that there is a minimum 26 feet left. And thirdly, my thought was, like you already answered that there are utilities. I just feel like the building could be bigger and jet out the new one going westwards. And I see you said, hey, I don't know what the utilities are or what the cost is, but it just feels like, you know, the new building could be a little bit bigger. Again, this is really, you know, I'm not the right person to be commenting on it. It's really more, but I thought that was just my, and then if suppose it stays that way, because it is so big and people have been using it as a road before, I would encourage to pay a lot of attention to that edge treatment, where you're gonna be now blocking vehicular traffic, like people have been using it a lot, they've been trained to go there. So that should be done in a way to make it very obvious that it is not for vehicular use. So avoid any wayfinding, people coming in and turning in. It is such a big space. So that edge treatment, I think, and I don't know the detail yet, so I really cannot comment on whether it's mounted to a curb or not or what, but just be thinking about that. But that would be important to make it crystal clear to the general public that this is not a wayfinding for vehicular traffic. But otherwise, yeah, I'm glad that, and the thing I'm saying that is right next to the Dart station, right? So you can potentially have a lot of people use that public space.
So it seems that there's a lot of consensus on the panel here from the panel's side regarding what you are proposing to do here. I agree with all the comments, especially the comments regarding the new building, how it fits in the character of the neighborhood, for all the reasons that you already heard. I have you also notice that there's a lot of attention, a lot of emphasis placed on the plaza. Probably surprising to you because here we are to review the building, but the plaza and the open space is what is calling more, what's generating more debate here. And it's not an accident. Usually the panel tends to focus on the pedestrian level. Architecture, of course, it is of interest to everybody here, but in the end, it's very much your prerogative. However, However, the pedestrian realm is what we are really interested in. And that's what I'd like to focus on for a moment. The plaza, you heard different viewpoints. I would encourage you to make an inventory of the existing plazas, open spaces, green spaces, paved spaces in the area that you are in the context, in the neighborhoods. Is there a logic that is there a network of public spaces? Is there a logic placement of those open spaces, of those plazas, of those pocket parks? And there are several here. Some formal, some informal, some are just leftover spaces that are used as effectively as plazas or parks. Others are designed as such. So with that I believe would lead you, would guide you to the proper use of the space that you have here, of what we are calling plaza. I would actually go one step beyond that. I'm not sure myself that a plaza is the appropriate use for that space. This is an urban block. With the new building, you are completing the two missing corners of the block, which is great. You are defining the block, making a better place, a better city, just by doing that. The plaza actually, this might come across as controversial, the plaza makes it, allows for a gap to exist, continue to exist along the block. And I'm not sure that's the best way to go about building compelling urban environments. Our downtown has perhaps too many gaps. We have building, gap, building, parking lot, building, gap, parking lot, building. So that discontinuity is not a good thing generally. So I ask the question, should it be a plaza? If not a plaza, what would it be instead? What would support the idea of a more cohesive fabric? That's a hint for you guys. The Austin Street corridor that you are proposing to be abandoned, by all means, that should remain, as you already heard, as a connector from Elm Street to Pacific. By all means, it should remain, not only because we need it for fire truck access, but also because it had been historically a public space. So improve it, landscape it, greening, but leave it open. However, that little spot north of 7-Eleven M, parking lot, not so sure about. So other than that, I don't have anything else to offer. Norman, yes, please.
Sorry to steal the last,
Please, no.
but I want to take us back to the bridge. for
Yes.
a second. One other thing I think will help you is that in the, looking more closely at it on the drawings, it's obviously unenclosed, unconditioned, you can see through it. That's great. There is actually language in the West End ordinance that either requires or encourages sort of what we call the railroad aesthetic, the heavy industrial look for things. We think should play off of that somehow. You're off to a great start with that bridge in that way. Being able to see through it is going to substantially mitigate any concerns you might have about views through it. The other thing I would do is just leaving that bridge open and maybe going a little deeper into the industrial exposed steel aesthetic. I don't know what you've got there. If you do expose steel sections, I think that would benefit. It would be consistent with what's at in the ordinance. And a few gratuitous ribbon heads and things of that sort wouldn't hurt you a bit there. You might look at such structures historically and the way even in those they would decorate them. So I realize that's antithetical to architecture these days, except at my place. But this is another place where that it would benefit from, I think, going back to those aesthetics. You're already there. It wouldn't take much more to make that, I think, a pretty compelling element addition here. You're going to have to find someplace else to value engineer. I don't think this is going to be on the offer. I'm afraid to ask what that might be. be, but we'll get that again.
Zach staring at me.
There, either of them wants to evaluate.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you all for the comments. Any other comments, anything else that we'd like to offer to the team?
We are doing the right thing, so we have city redevelopment. Yeah.
Yes.
Which just, following on from what Maria said, just occurred to me, and I don't know how this could be done, but it's a little bit out of character, the street in the middle there. It looks a bit like a kind of a suburban community pool, and I wondered if when you're, it's not a bit of the landscape project, but it might be that you want to make it feel more like a courtyard, with a courtyard, water, courtyard pool, rather than that you happen to be able to swim in, rather than swimming pool. More open.
Put it on the roof. A lot of folks.
Value engineer.
I see it all over the place. I can get a lot of sun at the bottom of a 6-story well rather. That's, okay. Great.
I think the proportion counts.
It's more like a pool than actually cooling.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look north, it has a better chance of being something.
Smaller, so
Yeah.
that being one.
Should have some study.
We
Follow us. So, thank you for sharing the work. We support what you're doing, general vision. Please consider the comments that we shared with you. We'd like to see you ASAP. Don't very engineer it too much, if at all. Arturo, Gray, have you been able to capture the comments in general?
Yes.
Will you be able to share with the group?
Yes.
I'm gonna start with Norm's. I'm just gonna go through as we started. So the initial, little bit of improv, but the panel advises showing that the design team has maintained the historic view of the property when considering the Sky Bridge. And the detail of the Sky Bridge would benefit taking into consideration the historic neighborhood industrial design aesthetic and the existing ordinance.
Okay. Pretty good.
And Jesse, your comment about the urban heat island, the panel recommends design team look at green space solutions, including permeable paving, landscaping with trees, rainwater collection, and green infrastructure that will increase the usefulness of the public space. For Maria, additionally, related to that, the shading is an important component of the public space, and look at sun studies and shading and light on the new development. For Faisal, consider the panel recommends consideration of the paving placement with the trees in the central space to make sure that adequate fire coverage. Consider that the building design be looked at to potentially for an addition or redesign of the building to jet out westward. That's on the new building. Do we own this? Okay.
I'm not an architect, this is my very gut, just by looking at it, especially that it just feels.
It was the original design.
Yeah, I understand the concerns about utilities and stuff, but this is just my observation.
I can take that one.
Yeah.
So with it staying in that existing design, the panel encourages the attention of the edge design where the blocking vehicular traffic to make sure that it's obvious to drivers that this is not for vehicular use.
Yeah, I would say that, one way to say that would be to, in the Central Plaza, detailed design attention is needed to avoid wayfinding confusion for drivers. And in general, the space ratio can be reevaluated to see if building size can be adjusted, but that is totally, I just feel like it's.
If I may add to that, I think it's a good point, but I think that's something that might be resolved, might be addressed via landscape design that will follow. We heard that this landscape work is training, landscape design preliminary. So as the team develops the landscape design, works on that, I believe, I hope that that concern would be addressed. Or
And I just wanted to ask a question, so what utilities are there that are so cost prohibitive? Doesn't make this sense. And the reason I say that is because it's a dead end block. Most of those.
No, it's still in service. I can't remember exactly what it is. I want to say it's water.
A 25-inch main or something like that.
It's big. And it may be more like 40, but it's
Okay.
above 20.
It should be, if it's public main, then yeah, it should be on the boundary somewhere.
Yeah, it's on commercial space, and that's where the licensing agreement with that space in front being only used for bistro tables came into play. So, it's technically not even on the property. So I think the landscape improvements, threshold in the gateway, and how you make that a pedestrian, I think all of that's really good, which really nice.
okay. All right, great.
For Eureka, the panel recommends an inventory of plazas and open spaces in the neighborhood to consider a network of open green spaces and a logical network that could be considered between these spaces, looking at formal, informal, active, or passive uses, and how will this inventory help guide the proper use of the plaza design. And the panel recommends considering if it should be considered a plaza, what is the most cohesive urban fabric space and use for this development. Also for Eureka, the panel recommends the Austin Street corridor remain a connector between Elm and Pacific because of fire access and its condition as a historically a public space, but also consider landscape design with trees and to enhance that corridor.
Well, one to add, we mentioned earlier, and that is to the effect that the proportion and detailing of the retail where it faces the sidewalk make stronger design connections to the types of elements that are found in adjacent historic West End front street frontages.
Got it. And then the final recommendation is the panel recommends additional thought be placed on the design of the residential pool space. From Jeff.
We would say design of the courtyard, which includes the pool, may or may not include the pool. The focus is what is the character of the courtyard? What should be the character of the courtyard? Good. Okay, anything else from Ben? No, from the presenters? Thank you for coming. I think our meeting is adjourned. See you next time.
Thank you. Yes.
It needs to be active. Which one is it?
Sure.
So we're gonna have to get rid of those three.
Thank you, Maria. Thanks.
But I'm gonna get rid of this.
And
A lot of utilities
it's
would not
still
be.
probably possible, like a line right here, like
I don't know.
on the street.